Teachers, good afternoon. I trust you are hearing me. Let me welcome you to our planning session for this week. For those of you who are not aware, my name is Davian Leslie, but I hardly think there should be anybody who is not aware, especially since this is our final week, and I suspect that we only have repeat customers here today. Is there anybody who is here for the first time? I'm looking in the chat to see if anybody is indicating that they're here for the first time. Susan, is that Susan Benson? Annette Ellis? Quite a few. Look at that. Quite a few of you are here for the first time. I wonder how you are just finding out about this. And look at that. This is actually our second to last session for this term. And we don't know what will happen come next term, but we suspect we might have a little bit more of this going on. But after tomorrow, we will wrap up these sessions. But if you are here for the first time, I welcome you. I hope you are encouraged by this session to go out and do more with your students, even as we wind down and wrap up this term. This afternoon, we are going to be having a discussion about teaching mathematics, grades 1 to 3. We are focusing, I want to say exclusively, but let me not say that. We're focusing extensively on telling time. That's a topic that I know is in term 3, but we're also getting into a little bit of what we feel are some important theoretical considerations for you to bear in mind. Our presenter this afternoon is Nicole Thompson. Nicole is a teacher of grade 6 at New Providence Primary. One of these days, when we go back to being able to move around, you all should visit Nicole at New Providence and reach in and say hi to her. Nicole, I don't know what I'm calling down on you. I don't even know if Nicole is online at this moment. I must tell you that we're having heavy showers in Kingston, particularly if you live in the hills around Kingston, like I know Nicole does, and interestingly enough, like I do as well. I'm having very heavy showers outside right now. And sometimes as soon as it starts to rain in these parts, we might have power cut. Nicole, interestingly enough, just had a power cut, but I suspect, well, she said it's back, and I think she might be back online with us now. But if there are prayer warriors in this group, then you need to pray that we get at least an hour and a half of uninterrupted electricity supply, so that we can have this session. Dredra Bailey is also in the meeting. She's in the room. Dredra works with the team at JTC and supports these activities in one way or another. She is usually in the chat, responding to your questions and providing you with some guidance. Let me also welcome some of my other presenters who I know are here. I know Rochelle Smith Aslam. Rochelle engaged you last week with the session on special needs. I know she's here. And I suspect some of my other presenters are in the room as well. If you are one of the presenters for one of the sessions and you are here, let me welcome you. But of course, all the teachers who are here, you know, you have been with us from week 1, and we are now wrapping this up. We're thanking you for your support. And not just your support, we are commending you on your commitment, because to join these sessions weekly and to come here to learn and to go out and do takes commitment, especially in these difficult times. We're thanking you for your commitment and your willingness to change your practice at this point. Change is never easy, and for some of us it's harder than for others. Especially if you have been doing the same thing over and over and you're at this point about to make, you're making that transition to using technology in a more focused and deliberate way in your classroom. then I want to commend you for that. Of course, we have a number of teachers who are not from Jamaica. I saw a few Guyanese friends in the chat, and I want to welcome them as well. I know that there's some unrest going on in Guyana now. I've been following the news where that is concerned. So my heart and my best wishes go out to our colleagues in Guyana. Here in Jamaica, I work as an education officer. And so I very well understand the challenges that sometimes occur with getting an education system to work. But certainly the Guyanese teachers who are here, despite what's happening, I want to congratulate you and to commend you for turning up, for showing up, and for doing all that you do. Of course, we also have teachers from Turks and Caicos, and from time to time from other places. Let me not get into let me not make the mistake of starting to name schools and countries. But we welcome you. We are glad that you are here. I have been having severe internet problems uploading the files to share with you. And there are two things that are happening that are working against me. I'm not sure how many of you are aware that Google has a limit on the number of emails you can send in a day. It used to be 500. You could not send to more than 500 recipients in one day. Meaning if I put 500 addresses in a mail and press send, for the rest of the day, I can't send a single mail until 24 hours have passed. Since COVID-19, they have increased that to 2,000, meaning you can now send up to 2,000 mails in one day, but you can only do it in batches of 500. On Monday, or was it Tuesday? I think Monday, but it could very well have been Tuesday. I sent you a mail. I wanted to send you the mail with the attachment from last week as well as the flyer for this week. When I sent the mail, I could not attach the PowerPoint because the internet was just too slow, and every time I tried, it just kept failing. So I sent you the mail knowing that once I sent the mail, I would not be able to send any more mail for a day. So I waited until the day after, which would have been Wednesday, but still I'm having a problem attaching. Last night, after many, many attempts, I was able to attach once, and now I think I am back up because today my internet has been working well. So I promise you, I will send you the presentations from last week with the videos in a few minutes. As a matter of fact, I think that while Nicole is presenting, I will try to divide my attention between the presentation and also sending you the mail. So you will see the mails in a few minutes. Of course, you know all of our protocols. You know that we try not to be disruptive. We try to keep our mics muted. We try to ensure that our background is as quiet as possible, or if it's not quiet, to ensure that our mics are always off. From time to time, you'll be asked to participate, and so we're going to ask that you make an effort to do so. We also ask that you bear with us, as you have in the past, because today in particular might be a little challenging with some disruptions that you might have, particularly if we have any power cut. So we might have to do a little bit of juggling. You might hear a little bit more noise in your background from Nicole's end today than you normally would have heard. If that is the case, I apologize in advance and ask that you bear with us and give us a little slack today. Tomorrow is our final presentation for this term, unless you say otherwise. But to be frank with you, we are aware that your strength grows weak. Your patience is wearing thin. Your endurance is running out. And quite frankly, teaching for the most part has come to an end, and revision and assessment is what you are doing. So tomorrow's session, or a final session for this term, is going to be focused on on assessing students, formative assessment. It is not designed with any grade in mind or with any subject in mind. So all teachers, regardless of grade, regardless of subject, regardless of school type, even primary or secondary, you are free to attend. It's our final session, so let us go to it a bang. Our two presenters tomorrow afternoon, and we have for the first time two persons presenting the one session. They are teachers at Central Branch Primary and at Rollington Town Primary. And so you get to meet them tomorrow. I spent some time today reviewing the session with them, and we are more or less ready to go. We only need you to turn up to participate. Again, the session is being recorded, so you will get a copy of the recording, and you will also get a copy of the presentation by email. We ask that you simply give us your email address. Towards the end of the presentation, you will get a chance to complete an evaluation, which allows you to get a copy of the presentation. Again, we ask you not to put your email in the chat. And if you do, to understand that we are not likely to send you an email based on that. Okay, here we go. Nicole, I'm going to unmute you. Well, I have unmuted you, so bear that in mind as you interact with your background. Colleagues, this afternoon, we are ensuring that we not just focus on strategies and activities that you can use to teach, which is an easy thing to focus on. And to be frank, perhaps we do too much of that. We need to also ensure that you are able to develop these activities for yourself. And so very often you might interact with a presenter and you leave with many activities that you can go and do, but you do not know how to develop these activities yourself. One of the things that we want to see if we can address this evening is figuring out how to design tasks. What are the different things you should consider as you plan your lesson and develop tasks that students interact with? I'm excited about this evening's presentation, and I hope you will learn as much as I have done, as I've interacted with Nicole as we talked about this presentation. Nicole, I'm turning them over to you. I think I've unmuted your mic. I believe I have. I hope you are N. Thompson.
Yes, yes.
Ah, there you go.
Yes, yes, I am the N. Thompson. Because you notice we have another Nicole Thompson with us. Hello, Nicole Thompson. You have a good name. Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to be back for our final session. So as Davian said, I'm having, well, the rain has stopped, but we're having thunder and lightning. And you know, for us, thunder and lightning means power cut. So if you see that I disappear from your screen, we have a backup plan. So don't go, just wait a minute. I'm gonna get back on, but just give me a little time just to let you know. So, because we all know how GPS works. So let's take a look at today's session. Share screen. Okay. You should be seeing my screen now. Is that so? Davian, are you seeing the screen?
Yes, yes, I am.
Okay. All right. So today's session is for grades 1 to 3. It's a 1 to 3 version of what we did last week with some adjustments. But first, I want to talk about. Give me 2 minutes, 2 seconds. Let me get my screen in a condition that I would like it to be. Okay. All right. Here we go. All right. So the first thing I want to say is that we are tired. We are extremely tired, and that's me right at this stage of my virtual teaching. I feel like I can't go anymore, and I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I'm really tired and on the last, I have the last energy, but the end is near. The end is near. So what I really want to do is encourage you and keep calm. It's almost summer break, so we just have to push through. Because we are resilient and we are teachers, and we know how to get things done. So we're going to make it. So when you feel like you can't go one single more step, just put one foot forward and take a step each day. So yeah, the finish line is there. The finish line is there, teachers. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. All right. So today I want to talk about thinking and planning. I want to talk about thinking and planning. And I want to look at and discuss what is it that guides our thinking when we're planning. And you may look at that question and say, That's a really dumb question. How you mean what guides your thinking when planning? But for many of us, we make the wrong thing guide our thinking about planning. So, for example, when we are planning our lessons, some of us, the thought in our head is, I have the principal want the lesson plan tomorrow morning, and I have to write a lesson plan, and it has to be 2 pages, and it has to be that. And we use that to guide what we're putting in our lesson plan, which tells us or guides what we're going to deliver in the classroom. And this is really a wrong approach to lesson planning. Another thing that we may fall into the trap of is letting a resource guide our thinking in lesson planning. So, for example, we may know that we're doing, and we're going to look at some telling time on the analog clock, and we may think, okay, I'm going to teach time today, and we go on the internet and we Google it, and we find some sort of, we're looking for that magical resource, that magical worksheet that's going to help us, and we spend an hour looking for the worksheet, and then we plan our lesson around that worksheet. This also is a big trap that a lot of us are falling into, that we need to be very, very careful of. So today I want to talk about thinking and planning, how to focus our thinking to get the most out of our lesson plans. All right. So I want to do an activity today, and I know hardly any of us are going to be teaching, excuse me, how to make up a bed. But I want you to teach me how to make up a bed. So let us pretend that I'm your student and I've never made up a bed before in my life. Actually, I've never made it up. And I want you to tell me in the chat, what are the things you would teach me so that I would know how to make up a bed? All right. So the task is you're going to teach me how to make up a bed, and I want to know in the chat, what is it that you would teach me so that I could be successful in doing that task? Everybody understands what we're doing? So we could write some, what is it that I would have to do to be able to successful? Could we write some answers in the chat? I'm going to open the mic in a little while, but let's put some in the chat. First, you need a sheet, yes. Anybody else? Fold a sheet. We need a bed. You need a bed, okay? Different sheets. Is it that a lot of people don't know how to make up them bed? Is that the situation we have in here? You need, who will be using the bed? 2 sheets, evenly spread the sheet. Where to place the flat sheets? Unfold the sheet. Get all the materials needed. The bed should be clear. Pillowcase, bed sheet. All right. So what I want you to do, very good. Size of the bed. Use a fitted sheet to cover 4 corners of the bed. Yes, we're getting more details. Use the size of the sheet for the size of the bed. All right. So I see a lot of, very good. I see some people putting details, and I see some people are just saying get sheets. All right. What I want you to do, while you're listening to me, just write down the things that you would need to teach me, and put that aside for a second. We're going to move on a bit, but we're going to use it. Which side of the sheet to use? What do you have to make up the bed? Very good. All right. So one of the things that I want to talk about today is something that, if you are a special ed, if you're familiar with special ed, it's called task analysis. And I've seen in more recent literature, it's being referred to as atomizing. It's actually the same thing. And what this is, atomizing or task analysis, is a process where you break down a topic into subtopics, subtasks. And even more detail than that, you break those subtasks down into subtasks. So we try to break the task down into the smallest unit that is possible. Right? And the question may be, why bother with something like that? And the truth of the matter is that if we plan with this in mind and breaking down the task into smaller tasks, we're going to increase the probability of success for each child. Right? So let's take a look. And these were the 4 steps that I had. Put the fitted sheet on the bed. Put flat sheet on bed. Put pillows in pillowcase. Put on the bedspread or comforter if you use that. Now, on the face of it, or maybe I should ask, does this look like if I taught these steps that I could get a student to know how to make up the bed? On the face of it, it seems reasonable. On the face of it, it seems reasonable. And then I would set out and start teaching. But if we are doing a task analysis and really delving into what does each of these steps pertain, let's look at put on the fitted sheet. For you to be able to put on a fitted sheet, the student will have to know how to differentiate between a flat sheet, a fitted sheet, and a pillowcase. They will also have to know what's the difference between the wrong side and the right side of the sheet. Differentiate between the long side and the right side of the sheet. Differentiate between the long side and the short side. And then they'll have to arrange a sheet on the bed in the correct direction and be able to tuck under the sides and the corners. So what we're saying, that one task of putting on a fitted sheet, and there could be more than this. I just quickly did this up. The one task of putting on a fitted sheet on a bed is really made up of so many more subtasks. And the problem is that if we don't identify these subtasks and a student is unable to differentiate between a flat sheet and a fitted sheet and even a pillowcase, then it's highly unlikely that they're going to be successful in putting on a sheet. And furthermore, they're not going to be successful in making up the bed. So just to bring across the point that breaking down your objectives or your task into subtasks and ensuring that students are able to master each of these subtasks are really going to this activity or doing this is going to it's going to it's going to take time on the front end. But if you go through your planning this way and your delivery of lesson this way, you find that you don't have to keep reteaching because students are more likely to master the task. All right. So if we look at this in terms of our how we teach and how we write our plan, to make up a bed would be like the benchmark. That's a big picture. That's a goal. We want students to be able to make up a bed. And then putting on the fitted sheet, that would be the objective that you would find in your curriculum. So the objective for this class, or maybe 2 or 3 classes, for you to put on the fitted sheet. And then all of these other 1.1 to 1.5 would be the subtasks. And we need to start paying attention to those. All right? Everybody okay? Let me know that I'm not talking to myself in the chat. I am actually seeing the chat. Everybody's okay? Can I move on? All is well? Yes, okay. So let us continue on. And a second thing that I want to talk about with our planning is what we call variation. Now, variation theory is probably not a theory that, well, I left Teachers College quite a time ago, but I didn't learn it in Teachers College. I'm not too sure if they're teaching it now, but it's something, especially for math, I think is very, very applicable. And variation theory has several elements, but I want to really focus on 2 today. And the first one I want to focus on is contrast. And this says that in order for us to understand a concept, we need to see it in contrast. We need to see what it is not like, these non-examples. All right? So for example, if we're teaching the shape pentagon, and I know 1 to 3 you probably are not teaching pentagon. If you're teaching the shape pentagon and we describe to the children that, it has 5 sides, and a lot of us go further to say, it has a point like a roof, it looks like a house. Yes, students will get what it is, but maybe not a full understanding of a pentagon. We need to have them contrast the pentagon or that shape with something that they know. So they contrast it with a square, they contrast it with this shape, they contrast it with another shape. And how is a pentagon like and unlike these other shapes that they already know? Because when they're doing that, it's going to firm up their understanding of what a pentagon is. So variation is saying contrast what you're teaching with non-examples. That's it in the shortest way. Now, let us take, for example, this. So we're saying compare this pentagon here with these shapes on the other side. But let us take a look at variation. We need to keep in mind uh, that we have to be careful with variation. So my question is, if we are teaching pentagon and the properties of the characteristics of pentagon, would it be best to contrast with these shapes here, or would it be best to contrast it with what I'm with all yellow shapes? That's a question that I'd like you to answer in the chat. Would it be better to contrast this pentagon with these shapes here, the first set, the colorful set, or would it be better to contrast it with the set that the color is the same? That's a question that I would like you to answer. Anybody wants to raise their hand and answer that question? We could. Okay, we have one on colorful. Julian Swaby says colorful. Tamika says colorful. Rosie says the same color. Some say yellow. All right. Okay, very good. So we have different opinions. All right. Why do you think those who say colorful? Why would you say to do it with the colorful? Same color at first. All right. So I'm going to discuss it, and then we're going to give some other examples that we're going to open the mic for. Now, if we only compare with colors, we might give the impression to the children that color is a property of being a pentagon, which it is not. While if we compare with all the same color, they can really focus on the characteristics of a pentagon that makes it different from a square or a hexagon or a circle or any of the other shapes, because they are now able to identify what is the same and what is different. If you compare it with this, children may say that one is blue, that one is yellow, which is really not the characteristics that you want your students to focus on. So this is how we have to really think about what we are doing and some of the worksheets and activities that we're giving the students. All right. So a second thing of variation theory is that we students need to see, and for us to learn, we need to see multiple instances of the same thing. So we need to see the same thing in different ways, right? And we do this, but we really need to focus on it and ensure that this is part of our planning. So back to the Pentagon again. So we have Mr. Pentagon here, and for a lot of students identify the Pentagon because it has a roof, right? It has a roof. And if you even turn the Pentagon slightly where there is no roof, the roof is now pointing down, sorry, they can't see that it's a pentagon, because every time that the teacher has shown them a pentagon, it has looked like this. So they're not able to pick this out that this is a pentagon. And it gets even worse when we only show them regular pentagons with the same sides, same length sides, and not show them that pentagons, as long as it has 5 sides, it's a pentagon, right? It may not be a regular pentagon, but it's a pentagon. So we have to be able to, we have to introduce the students to this thing that you're teaching in multiple ways. Let them see, in different ways, different colors, just different ways. So this is really, really important. All right. So for example, let us take a look at this shape, a square, which is what we teach in the lower grades. Now, for many students, they can identify this as a square, right? This probably is not a problem to you. But the minute that we turn that square on its side, it's no longer a square. Do you find that with your children? I'm sure a lot of you have this problem with your students, right? So this is what we're talking about, being able to introduce it in many, many instances, right? Let them see it in different ways. And then, since I'm a grade 6 teacher, Well, let me ask this question. Is this a rectangle or is it a square? Could I get the answers to that in the chat? Is this a rectangle? If I said to you, this is a rectangle, would you say yes? If I said this is a square, would you say yes? Is this a rectangle? Is it a square? Both, right? Most of the time when our students come to us in the upper grades, they only have a rectangle being 2 long sides and 2 short sides. And they don't know that this can also be referred to as a rectangle, right? So as I said, variation theory talks about contrast and also talks about generalizing and having multiple views of the same thing. All right. So let's talk about triangles now. Let's talk about triangles. So I'm going to pretend that you are teaching the concept of triangles, right? You're teaching the concept of triangles. And you are going to select a worksheet, or you are going to select, hold on a second, let me, hold on a second, let me erase this. And could whoever is marking on the screen, could you kindly stop marking on the screen, please and thank you. All right. So if we're talking about, sorry, triangles, and you're now going to select a worksheet or design a worksheet for you to check your students' understanding of triangles. Which of these sets would you choose? So we have set A, set B, set C, and set D. I'm going to show you them a little closer. All right, I'll give you 2 seconds to look at each one. So set A, would you choose this to instruct or to assess your students that these are triangles or these are not triangles? Take a good look. All right. How about set B? How about set B? All right, I'm going to show you all of them and then you make a choice which one you think would be the best. How about set C? And I want you to tell me why. How about set C? And then how about set D? Okay, and here they are all together. So take a quick look, and in the chat, I would like you to put the letter and tell me which set and why you have selected, or maybe we can open the mic. Davian, we can let participants select which one and choose and let us know why. So the answer, so once you have been unmuted, it's let me know which set you believe would be the best and why you have selected that set.
So I've granted permission for participants.
Are you able?
They can go ahead and unmute if they wish to speak.
Anybody want to give it a try?
Okay. Set C.
Set C. And why did you select set C?
Because there are different types of triangles right there in set C.
There's different types of triangles, but there are different triangles in set B as well.
And set D, yeah.
Also, they have different orientations. So
you're saying set C as well?
Yes, because the student will be able to see the triangle in different orientations.
Different
forms. But what about set B? Set B also has that. So why not set B?
Triangles,
but
those that are not triangles are very good because the student will be able to see.
Marking up.
I would say all of them.
No.
All of them. But remember, best means one. So which one is the best?
Miss, I would choose set C or D. Reason being,
or D.
There are other shapes there that are similar to a triangle, and it will pull the children's attention to focus more and see which one are actually triangles. Especially that lightning looking one. And the one of the circle.
The rectangles divided.
So you're saying C or D?
C. Yeah,
right, but so narrow it down to C or D. So
yes.
No, but I want the best. I don't.
C.
I don't want
C
C
is
or
good.
D.
C would bring the variation.
Why C over D?
D. I would say D.
You're going with D.
Yes.
Sonia says C. Sonia says C. Why C, Sonia?
C has in a obvious destructor, which is a rectangle. And I know that when they see the rectangle, they would not choose it.
But it divides into triangles.
Which side?
No, the one at the bottom, below
Yeah,
the
but
arrow.
those are not.
But they can form triangles. They can form C. You can get triangles from the others. You can.
No, but the question is, remember, our objective is only to be talking about triangles. What is a triangle and what is not a triangle? That's the only thing we're working on at this point.
So C.
So you say C. Anybody
else
want to take a try?
Yes,
I would
want to take
C.
a try.
I am going with B,
Like
miss.
All right. Unfortunately, I'm not able to see who is speaking.
Anna.
So I can't even call a name. So the person who would go with B. Why would you go with B?
I would use B because in C and D, those that are not triangles, I see triangles over the side for C and the side for D. Those that are not
They are
triangles.
not triangles. And that's what this
Or in C, you see triangles? You see triangles in C?
we don't see
Yes,
triangles,
over
but
the
we see
section
things
that
that
are
would
not
look like
triangles.
triangles.
Or do you see a square with a diagonal on it?
Yeah.
There's no actual triangle there.
Still divided into triangles.
No, but we're asking is the whole shape a triangle. And what is the property that we tell the children about triangles? It must have three sides.
Three sides.
Yes.
So
Straight sides.
Let's look and see where they are not triangles. Are there any shapes there with three sides?
Yes.
Yes.
Where?
Yes, in C.
In C and in D.
In C and in D.
In the not triangle? In the not triangle? All right. I guess you're referring to this here. Is that
No,
No.
the one below it.
The one below it?
Yes.
That's one.
All right, so what about the waviness?
That's
What about
not
this
straight.
waviness?
That's a curve.
The waviness would make
What
it
about the
not
waviness of it?
triangle.
It wouldn't make it a triangle.
You would make it a triangle.
The waviness will still make it a triangle?
No. No,
Right.
it would not be a
It's
triangle.
a straight.
Right,
It's a
so
straight
do you
line.
think that, right, because it's three straight lines.
Lines, that's it.
Right, so you realize that the not triangles have been specially selected, right? And this has been specially designed for students to really think and know what the properties of
triangles are.
Right? So you could give students and let them, as I'm hearing, and have a discussion. It's a discussion that the children can have, right? Do you agree?
Yeah.
So now we have decided, let's look at A. The problem with A here is that all of them are similar triangles, right? All of them are similar, and so they really are not being pushed to compare properly, right? And the same thing with B, the not triangles, although the triangles are different, the not triangles, the variety is not very wide,
clear.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Now when we look at C,
you see the 6 types, the 3.
C has a wide variety of triangles, don't it? Right. And
those
also
by
a
side,
wide variety of
and those
not
by
triangles. Not triangles as well. Right? But let us look at D. What's wrong with D? The problem with D is the not triangles are good, but the triangles.
It's not all type 6 basic.
Right? All right. Do we agree? Are we agreeing? Who is? Hold on a second.
Somebody marking.
I'm going to ask really nicely for the person who's marking on the screen to stop doing it. It's distracting to us all, and there are a lot of us here, and it is distracting to all of us. Right? All right. So are we clear on this one? Do we agree that C seems to be the one that we could get the most out of our students with.
Yes.
All right.
You can get
Because
variety
the triangles indeed have the same orientation. All right.
according to
Okay.
side,
So we have to
according
look
to
at what do we
angles.
present as triangles, and we also need to look at what
That's
do we
it.
present as non-triangles.
Non-triangles.
Okay? All right. So let us now go on to halves. All right. So we're going to do the same thing again. And I keep on having
somebody drawing
to erase the screen. I mean,
I think
let us look at halves.
You know.
Miss, go to more and press disable annotation.
I'm sorry, I'm not a host, so I can't do it. That's the problem.
You can, even if you're not hosting. If you go to security.
Should I go where? More?
Security option, or is it more? I'm not sure what it looks like on your screen.
I don't have the security option.
So you might see more then.
Can go ahead because you're a host and do it for everybody.
No, I can't.
I got it. I think I got it.
Okay.
All right. So let's look at halves. Let's look at halves now. So we have set A, where we're instructing or assessing a student's knowledge on half.
Wow.
We have set A,
Set
set B, set C, and set D. Tell me in the chat, which one do you think would be the best to use to instruct about halves or assess about halves? Let's take a look. All right, I'm seeing some. I'm seeing some A's. I'm seeing D. I'm seeing B. Set D. All right. Now, we know that once we're teaching, maybe at the lower grade, we want to start off with things that are simple, right? But simple doesn't always mean the best. So we have to start slow, but we need to get them ramped up a bit, right? So if we look at set A, the problem with set, oh, I'm not going to say, sorry. Could we say, who likes set A? Is there anybody who likes set A? Is there anybody who likes set A? Who thinks set A is good? Okay, why is set A not a good option? Why is set A not a good option? Even for the smaller grades, set A is not a good option. Look carefully why even for younger children, set A is not a good option. Thank you, Kalma. I think that's how you pronounce your name, Dobbs. They're all squares. They're all there's no variety there. They're showing half only on squares. So the children really don't have a variety to understand what really a half is. And then we go to set B. Is set B an improvement on set A? Yes or no? Is set B an improvement on set A? Again, yes, set B is an improvement on set A. And maybe if you have children that are just learning and younger children, maybe we stick at set B. But in terms of understanding a half in its full sum, that can't be enough. So let us look at set C. Do we think set C is the best? If we were to understand what a half is. Again, what is it that why we would throw out set C? What is it that is going to cause us not to select set C when we're looking at worksheets and all the rest of this? These are the kinds of things I want you to think about when you're selecting resources online, because teachers, and we all know this, there's a lot of junk online. There's a lot of junk online, and because it said teacher made or worksheet so and so, we can't trust it. You have to be able to make a decision. Is this what I need? Right? So set C, as we said, they're all squares again. There's hardly a lot of variety. But if we look at set D really, the student will have a very deep understanding of what a half is. Would we probably do this in grade 1? Maybe not. Maybe not. We need to do it a little bit higher. But we need to be able to select for our students where we are. But so I'm saying here are 4 different sets, all talking about a half, and they're all different. Okay. All right. Let's go on and do one more. I'm just going to show you this one. This is easy to be seen in shapes, but we have to do the same thing when it comes to computation, arithmetic, anything else that we're teaching. So let us look at this for grade 2, and it is grade 2 subtraction. Which of these sets would we use to assess that our students are competent in subtraction at the grade 2 level? So let's take a look at that. Which set would you say? All right, let's when in the chat when you answer, give me which is the best and which is the worst. Which do you think it would be the worst set of problems to assess our students' understanding of subtraction? So I have one saying C. Set C is the best. Set C is the best. All right, so we have Lorna Morrison. Lorna said set C is the best. Why is it the best, Lorna? Can you open Lorna's mic for me, please, David? Why is set C the best, Lorna? Lorna's not answering.
I've opened your mic.
If you look at the top row, you have like 2 and 3 numbers. Down the bottom, you have like 2 and 3 and 1.
Right. And
so
what
that's
else?
a variety there of numbers.
You're getting a variety, yes.
Yeah, and if you look in the in the ones column, you have the taken away like 6 from 6. Let me see if the others have that. No, not all of them. Only some of them. And you're taking away 1 digit. You're taking away 1 digit, 2 digits, 3 digits, a variety. So
right. And there's something else that also you're correct. I mean, there is variety. There's far more variety in set C. But there's something else. Remember, we're talking about subtraction.
Let me see.
And we're talking about grade 2. So,
oh, there's no renaming.
There's no renaming.
Renaming. No renaming.
In some of them, right? So we have to look at what is it that we want to ensure and we're checking for. So this is what we're talking about when we talk about our subtasks. What are those subtasks to ensure that we are assessing for them? Okay, everybody's okay? All right, let's proceed some more. So today we're going to be looking at we're already, time has been spent quickly. Today we're going to look at telling time on the analog clock. Now this is a task that I have found really gives children a really hard time. Now I know when I was growing up and learning to read the clock, I found it very difficult. But I think I had it easier than the students today. And the reason being that every clock in my house was analog at that time. Every watch was analog. Digital was just coming in. Yes, I'm telling you, I am that old. Digital watches were just coming in. So if you wanted to know the time, it was an analog clock. And so all the clocks in your house was that. Nowadays, students hardly see analog clocks in their house. I know when I've taught it, I've had to ask parents to change the format on their phone to the analog clock and not just the digital. So what we find is that in my day, the familiar was the analog clock and the digital was the unfamiliar. But I think that has now flipped. And I think the digital is the familiar and the analog clock is the unfamiliar. And we like to move from familiar to unfamiliar. So I have in recent years started to teach it the other way, that I teach digital first and then superimpose on that the analog clock, which would have made more sense the other way in years gone by. But we're not really talking about digital clock today. We're going to be talking about the analog clock because that's what gives students a lot of trouble. All right. So telling time, teaching to tell time spans grades 1, 2, and 3. And I know that for, I think 1 and 2, I think this was a term 1 topic. I think it's a term 3 in grade 3, but if I'm wrong, I probably could be. So grade 1, they're just to tell the time on the hour and a half hour. And grade 2 is to read and show time on the quarter hour, and then they would have already mastered on the hour and on the half hour. And grade 3, they're to tell or show time using intervals, and they're to use this 5 minutes past and 5 minutes to, all right? In that minutes past, minutes to situation. All right, so here we go. Now, let us, all the discussion that we have been having, those thinkings that we have been talking about, how do we now apply that specifically to planning a lesson for you teaching the analog clock? All right, so let's go. And here are some steps that if you think about these steps, it's a way of guiding your planning. So the first thing we can think about, we're teaching analog clock, and at each grade you say, what is the most difficult question that I would like all my students to be able to master? At the end of this unit of telling time, what is it that I want my students, all of them, to be able to do? And once you've done that, so at grade 1, it may be some problem like this. At grade 2, it may be a problem like this. And at grade 3, it may be something else more difficult, a problem like this. All I want you to do is think about what is that problem, that level that I would like all my students to master. Once you've done that, then the second question you ask yourself is, what are the subcomponents that I need to teach in order for the students to be able to complete this task accurately? What is it that I have to ensure that my students know in order for them to complete that question that I've selected as the base question? So this is the same thing like what we were doing with the bed. What are those sub-tasks? What is it that I need to make sure that the students know? So I sat down and thought about this. I haven't taught lower school for a while. For a little while, I haven't taught lower school. And I really thought about it. What are the sub-skills that you need? And there are a lot of them. And that is why it gives our students such problems. First of all, students have to know the direction the clock hands move in. Must know that. And we have to be careful that we don't, because we're experts, we don't realize these subtasks that children don't know, and we don't directly teach them. So one, we have to teach and ensure that they know the direction that the clock hands move. They have to be able to identify the minute hand versus the hour hand, right? Because if you don't know that, it's big trouble. And this is the one that really got me. They have to discriminate between minutes, and there's nothing on the clock. There's no number on the clock that tells you what minute it is. So they have to be able to discriminate between minutes and hours. Now the numbers on the clock only talk about hours. Did you realize that? Every number on the clock talks about hours. It doesn't talk about minutes. There's no number there that says 1 minute or 2 minutes or 15 minutes or 25 minutes. So this is very difficult for students to understand if we don't point it out directly to them. They also have to understand that 1 comes after 12. Now, where in their teaching did 1 come after 12? That's not what you've been teaching them. You've been teaching them 1 comes before 12, and now you're going to say, hey, no, 1 comes after 12, right? And then they have to understand the vocabulary of time. They have to understand after, before, to, past. What do those words mean? And they have to know how to count by ones, and they have to know to count by fives. So just by looking at these sub-skills, and these are not all of them, these are the ones that I think we would miss when teaching. There are a lot of sub-skills that we need to ensure that our students have in place in order for them to be successful at reading an analog clock. Okay? All right. So let's go a little further. So once you have decided what the sub-skills are for the level that you're at, The next thing you have to decide is, how do I sequence and how do I teach this content over the available time? So I have 3 weeks to teach clock, or I have 2 weeks, whatever the time is. How do I arrange the sub-skills that I've decided so that I can get it to fit in to the time that I have allotted, right? So that's what you, and if you approach your planning this way, then you should be a little bit more detailed and focused, and your lessons should be a little bit more effective and efficient. All right, so when we talk about deciding the instructional sequence, sometimes there are so many sub-skills that we have to decide what are the must-haves and what are the would-be nice and not essential. I mean, for time, most of them are must-haves, but there are other topics that that one's not as essential, so I can move quicker over that. We also have to ensure that we have activities that teach as well as activities that assess, because you can teach, it doesn't really mean that they have learned, right? So we need to take these tiny steps: teach, assess, teach, assess, teach, assess, teach, assess. And I'm not talking about giving a test, nor am I talking about giving out some kind of written work. Sometimes the assessment is simply discussions that you have, right? But you have to ensure that you're teaching and assessing as you go along. And we also understand that some of these skills, the students, especially when we are teaching at a higher grade, the grade 3, we're not really going to be teaching it, but for us to ensure that they're successful, we need to reinforce and assess that they do know it, and reinforce for mastery. All right, so this is how we decide how we're going to sequence those skills that we have selected. Everybody okay? Everybody's going on all right? Remember, I'm just talking to myself. I'm not even seeing a face. I'm just talking to myself. All right, so let's go. So let us talk about directions the hand move. That's really one of the basic skills. And one of the ways that we can ensure that students really understand the direction the hands move is by having them fill in the missing numerals. So if we give them a task like this, where the numbers are missing, and ask them to fill in the numbers, and we do this for teaching and we do this for assessing, we can ensure that they are understanding the direction that the hand moves, right? They know where to start. Now, if you notice, I've put the one in a red box, so that we're giving them a little hint, and then after a while, we'll remove the red box for them to make that decision by themselves. So we can start with a task like this, where some of the numbers are filled in, and then we can move to a task that is more difficult, where you have given them a blank clock, probably with the red box, maybe without, and they are to fill in the missing numerals. Now, this is a very, very good task. All right, very, very good task to ensure. Now, I just want to say something is that I know that we always ask our students to make clocks, and that is very, very good. But I am going to suggest that you assist the younger students by giving them a template, because I've seen so many clocks that the numbers are in the wrong spot, that once you are now asking the children to use this clock to learn telling time, and the numbers are not in the right spot because they have not divided the circuit properly. So I'm saying, yes, have the children make the clock, but maybe you could give them a template that looks like this, that has photocopied with the numbers missing, sorry, and they could fill them in. But you are going to ensure that the numbers are in the right location, okay? Because that is also very important. All right, so I want to talk about making something like this, all right? Now we're going to talk about Google Drawings. Now Google Drawings is something, a tool that we all have access to once you have a Google account. And if you have a Google account, if you have a Gmail account, and I'm going to show you how to make something like that, or how to make any of the other tasks we did with the shape. So now you no longer have to rely on somebody else making it for you, or drawing it down from the internet, because you know exactly what you want. So you're going to make it yourself, okay? So we're going to go to Google Drawings. And how we get to Google Drawings is we just sign into our account. Oh, I just had a glitch in PowerCut. Am I still on? David, am I still on? Are you seeing me? Are you hearing me?
Yes, Nicole, you're still here.
Oh, okay, because I just had a dip in power, so I didn't know if the internet went. All right, so let us look at Google Drawings. Now, you may say, why go to Google Drawings and not use Word? Word is a good tool, excellent tool, but it is not made specifically for drawing. So you're going to have some issues with it. Now, if you find yourself really good at Google Drawings, you can make up your worksheets. And I think it would be especially good for the lower grades that really have a lot of diagrams. So you're going to go to your Google Drive. I showed you. You just click here. You're going to click here where you have those little 9 triangles, and you're going to go to your Google Drive. So I'm already in my Google Drive, and then you're going to click New. When you click New, I hope you're seeing it on the left-hand side, you're going to go down to More, and you're going to go across, and it's going to say Google Drawings. So you're going to select a new Google Drawings. Now think about Google Drawing as an artist canvas. It's a plain sheet that you can put whatever you want on it, okay? So here is our drawing, or our canvas that we can draw on. Now if you notice, you're going to notice some checkers on this canvas. It's not plain, and that's because it is telling you that it is transparent. That means if you put this drawing onto something that is colored or has another picture in the background, it is not going to show up as white. The background is not going to be white. It is going to be transparent, so you can see it. It's really, really very helpful sometimes when you want to load a picture onto something else. All right. So I'm going to quickly show you how to maneuver Google Drawings. Although this is not a training on Google Drawings, I'm just going to quickly show you, and then you can Google all videos. What I will do, I'll also put up some videos that you can go back and look on. But let us say we're inserting now. So we're going to insert a shape, and remember, we're going to do the clock. So we're going to look for the shape, and we're going to look for a circle. So we're going to insert circle, and there we're going to insert it. Now, if you look, sometimes when we're inserting the shape, it gets out of shape. There is a way around that, okay? There's a way around that, and I'm going to show you how to do it. All right, so when you're inserting and you have selected your shape, so I've selected my circle, press down on your Shift key. And while you're inserting and dragging, it will always remain as a circle, all right? So there it is. I have my circle there, okay? The powers went again. I have my circle there, okay? And that works for all the shapes, squares, all of them. You just press Shift, and it will keep the shape and not get it out of shape. All right, so as you notice, it has that color there. We are not really interested in having, well, maybe you could be, but for clarity, I'm not interested in having a color. Or let me show you what you can do. You can go to Format, and you can change the color to anything that you want. So you can change it, fill color, and here is many colors that you can choose from, all right? So let's just say we want a white clock for clarity, all right? And because I'm plain Jane, I like it to look plain. All right, we can also change the border and the thickness of the border. So we go down and we go to Format again, border and lines, border weight, and we want it maybe 4 times to get it really thick. There you go. Half of your problem is finished already, all right? So now what we would like to do is put in those little squares that they're going to insert their numbers, all right? So we're going to go and say Insert, and we're going to look for shape again, and look for shape. Here we go. And I'm going to use the Shift key again to ensure that it stays like a, and I'm going to insert it. There, I'm going to insert. All right. Now, what is cool with Google Drawings is that, look at that red line that comes up. So if I had put it and it wasn't lined up properly, I will shift it across, and there comes a red line to tell me that I have it directly in the middle. Wow, nice, don't it? Right, so you don't have to worry too much. Now, I want it all the same size. I can click on it, and I can just copy. Right click and copy. and I will get another one that's exactly the same size and color, and I can carry it down. So if I have it off, I know it is not lined up. Here it is, it's lined up properly. Oh, that was the same one, I'm sorry. All right, we're gonna copy it again. All right, there it is, there's a copy, and we carry it back up there that it's lined up, right? All right, so if you don't want to copy, you can always insert another time, but I find it easier just to copy and then paste it down again, all right? Now look, here we go. When we're putting it to this side, when we put it, it's going to tell us, yep, that is exactly beside it, okay? And then we can just really do this quickly. We can really do this quickly. Let me copy a couple of them so I can just place them and you can see. Here you go, lined up. And we can line up here and we can line. So, I mean, this is, you can understand this, right? So now you can design your clock any way you want. You don't have to wait on somebody to tell you what you're going to give your students. You have thought about exactly what you want, and you are now designing your worksheet or your instructional sheet exactly the way you want it, all right? So there you go. So you can do all that, and then you can put in the center. I just want to show you a completed one. So I have one completed. Let me bring it up for you. As I said, this is not, I'm just showing you what is available, and here it is. It's completed, and you insert your numbers. You insert your numbers by simply clicking. Oh, it hasn't finished loading yet. I'm going to show you. By clicking on the shape, it's still loading. This is the problem, and the internet is exceptionally slow. And then you can, well, once you've clicked on it, you can type in, you can edit your text, edit text, and you can put in the numbers there, right? So there you go, you can put in the number. And you can change, so I put in the number there, but I don't like the size of it. I can just highlight it. I can change the color of it. If I wanted it to be red, I can change that. If I want it to be bold, I can change that. If I want it to be bigger, I can change that. So I can do lots of things with it. If you think about Google Drawings similar to Word, the functions are very similar. So you can just work around it, right? And when you put the little dot in the middle as well, it will also line it up. There it goes. It tells you when it is dead center in the middle. So you don't have to worry about judging that. Your guidelines will show you, all right? So now you are able to make your worksheet. So here's a Google drawing, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that end, but let me just mention it here. All right, I'm going to show you in the end where that works. So you can design your own worksheets, right? With numbers, all the rest of that. Now, also, when we spoke about identifying triangles and non-triangles, remember that you are able to do that with Google Drawings as well. So let me open a new Google Drawing, and a new sheet will eventually come up. You can design those worksheets using Google Drawings as well, right? So you can insert the shapes that you want. Sorry, it's taking a long time to load. I'm sorry. But you can now see how the world is at your feet in terms of what you want to give your students. You don't have to rely on other people's worksheets anymore, right? So look how many different shapes you have. And you have this kind of triangle, and you can kind of rotate it how you want. Lots of, let's take a look how many different shapes they have. Different shapes, right? A lot of different shapes. Also, if you do not want to use any of these shapes that are available or any of the pictures that are available, you can search the web, go to image, search the web, and a little bar along the side will come up, and then Google comes up on this side, and you can search for let us say you want, since we're going with triangles, we can search for triangle, and it's going to bring up a whole selection of triangles. And let us say you decide that this is the one that you want, then you just insert, and the triangle will be inserted. So the triangle is inserted, and you can change the size of the triangle, and you can also change the orientation of it, right? And you can move it around easily on the page. So you can make your own worksheets really, really, really well, all right? So let's go back a second. All right, so that's Google Drawings in a nutshell. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to post on my Twitter account, and I'm going to post on my Instagram account where you can find some good videos on how to use Google Drawings, okay? So the next thing we're going to talk about is online clocks. So Google Drawings are good for stable worksheets. For worksheets, it's also good for if you have a Zoom lesson and you're showing that way there, it's also very good. But it's not as interactive. It can be, but the tech, your ability, your tech skills really have to turn up for you to get Google Drawings to be interactive in terms of getting the clock hand to move. So your easiest bet is to look for online clocks. Now, if you Google online clocks manipulatives, a whole host of them are going to come up. There are a lot of them that you can use. There are a lot of them. So, excuse me, take your time and look through. Now, I just wanted to show you something. Here's a manipulative, a Google clock, an online clock produced by Toy Theater. Now, if you look at this clock, can do lots of things if you look around. And here's another one. This is another one by Braining Camp. Now, here's my question, and I'd like you to answer in the chat. Which virtual clock, these are only 2 examples that I've used. There are many. Which virtual clock would you choose to use when you're teaching your children, and why? Which virtual clock would you use when you're teaching, when you're giving instruction on how to tell time on a clock? Which one do you think you would use, and why? And Mrs. Francis said Toy Theater. Why, Mrs. Francis, would you choose Toy Theater? And somebody else said B. William Henry said B because it's simple. Some said B because it's simple. A. Antoinette Gray. Antoinette, why would we use A? Antoinette, could we Antoinette's mic for Antoinette to tell us why she would use A? No, Antoinette?
I would choose A because it has both the analog and the digital.
It has the analog and the digital.
Analog and the digital, yes.
Okay, so for that reason, you would choose A.
I would, yes.
Good reason. All right, for me personally, and again, it's a personal choice. But when I'm giving instruction, I would not choose it. Again, this is, and yes, it's colorful and has these other bright things all around. But for me, I think it's too distracting. There are so many other things that our students will focus on that they could get lost and not focus on what we want them to focus on. So my personal preference is B. Again, that's my personal preference. But we have to bear in mind that children will get distracted by all of these things all around, okay? So we have to be careful of that. So when you're selecting a virtual clock, consider the students that you're teaching, the age that you're teaching. Are they able to focus and not pay attention to this little monster right here and this little clown up here and things like that, right? Because a lot of things that are free have these ads and all these things around them, all right? So this clock B that I'm showing you, that I showed you, oh, sorry. The clock B is actually from a website called Braining Camp. Please write that down, Braining Camp. Now, Braining Camp is a paid website. Braining Camp is a paid website, but I love it. They have given 30 days free. my suggestion to you is to sign up for their 30 days and really take a good look around. And I'm going to show you, I hope nobody from Braiding Camp is anywhere near this. I'm going to show you how to get the most out of your 30 days free, all right? Nothing wrong. They gave you a 30-day trial. Please use the 30-day trial. All right, so Braiding Camp, I'm going to go on Braiding Camp. Let me bring it up. I already have it loaded on. Here it is, all right? So when you go on Braiding Camp, as you see here on the right-hand side, you have 30 days free. But they have a whole host of manipulatives. I'm going to sign in. I thought I was signing in, sorry. They have a whole host of manipulatives. And for lower school, I think they're really, really very good. For upper school, they're good too, but higher up into the grade 6, I really prefer like Mathagon and some other ones. But for the lower school, if you look, algebra, tiles, base, then clock, all of these that they have here. Really, really good. All right. So they have a clock. And I'm going to click on the clock to show you what it looks like. So now we're already at 17 minutes past 3. So I'm going to show you some of the features of the clock so that you can decide, because I know we have mostly 1 to 3 teachers here. So I can't really do a lesson because there are going to be 2 grades that I would be ignoring. So I'm going to show you all the features of this clock, and then you can use it for your purpose. All right. So as you notice, it's color coded. So the minutes hand is in one color and the hour hand is in one color. All right. So if you look to the bottom left here, we have what we call free and geared. So when it is geared and you move it, the hands move together. Right. So it's showing you how the minute hand and the hour hand, how they're related. All right. And then you can also put it on free. And if you put it on free, then you're making the adjustment of the hands and they're not geared. So you have an option depending on what you're doing, how you want to move the hands. Okay. So that's the first thing. The next thing you can do is if you're giving instruction for minutes, you can put the 60 or the numbers for minutes here, or you can have them removed. All right. So let's just say we're not talking about minutes and we're just talking about how the hands move. We can move that distraction. We also have the option of removing a hand. So I can take away the minute hand. I can take away the hour hand. I can have no hand on there because we're just talking about the numbers. Remember the direction that it goes in. And I can put back the hour hand and I can put back the minute hand. Okay. We also, when we're starting teaching, we can put a line here to talk about half. And we can show the children what half is. And we also can put it here to show what quarter is. So you really have all the tools that you need from your starting teaching. Okay? All right. And then this other tool is my favorite little handy dandy tool. Let me put back my hands in. And let us say I'm just starting to teach half path. I'm not interested right now in having the hour hand. I'm trying to show students what the half means. So I put this in and then I can now show children it has gone halfway around. Okay? So it changes the color there. So that really, really is helpful for you to showing the children half. And once we have the quarter line, we can also show them that as well. Okay? So there are a whole different combination that you can use with your children. Not only that, so let me put back the hour hand and the minute hand. And let us say we get a little, are there any questions what I've shown so far? All right, so let us say we've gotten up a little further and we're now moving to grade 3. Grade 3, they already know half and quarter, so we're not interested in that. And then I'm going to start showing the children about minutes. So before there was only half and quarter, now I'm going to teach minutes. Let us say I take away the hour hand because I want them to focus on just the minutes. So I take away the hour hand for now because I'm teaching one thing at a time. I would also want to put on the numbers for the 60 minutes here, right? Giving that a little assistance in them understanding that, look, let us pretend that there are some other numbers on the end. And then I can put back my radar here and say, okay, students, we're talking about minutes now. Now we're starting at 60, which is also 0. And each of these little dots is 1 minute. 1 minute. And let us say I go all the way to 1. We can show that. But I can also say, how many minutes did we use to get there? And I can go and I can add 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. So what I will call there, 5 minutes, right? So we can show that this is actually 5 minutes by the slots there. And once we get a little further along, we can put the whole 5 minutes, and we also can put 10 minutes. A lots of things that we can do with this. Okay. So as I said, I'm just going to show you all the things that it can do. And here you go. And it can also move when it is 2, all right? Goes all the way around. But that's not the only thing that it can do. Let me clear this clock. It also has, on the right-hand side, you can also have 2 clocks. So you now can show what's the difference between this one and this one, how much from this time to this time, because they are now able to compare 2 clocks right away. Okay? Isn't that neat? Isn't that neat? Right. Not only, all right, let me get rid of 2 clocks. 1 clock, 2 clocks. All right. Let us also show you that you can also write. So let us say, let me clear this. Let us say you're in a lesson, a Zoom lesson, and you want to point something out to your student. You can take up your pen and you can circle what you want to circle. You can say we're moving from here to here, here to here. You can annotate on the clock because and you can use different color pens to do different things. Remember, we're talking about the 6 here. So you also have that option with this clock. Okay. All right. This clock also gives you the option of, if I can, and let me clear everything. All right. So this clock also gives you the option of, for older students, of a number line on the bottom. So if you want to show, if you're asking a student, and you also have the option of writing in text, you want to show it to ask a student how much time has passed between 2:20 and 3 o'clock. 2:20 and 3 o'clock. And you're asking a student to tell you that. So let's move this text here, and we can put that text over here. Sorry, let me edit. Let me edit that, 3 o'clock. Right. So we're asking some older students this. We can make our scale only show between 2 and 3. 2 and 3. All right. And then you can adjust your clock. Let me have it not geared. Let me have it free for a minute. And let's take this off. I can say to children, okay, we're going to start at 2:20. This is 2 o'clock, and then we go to 2:20, and then I'm going to have my clock now geared, and I'm going to also put on my highlighter. 2:20 to 3 o'clock. Let us go. 2:20 to 3 o'clock. How much time has passed? And children can do this several ways. They can now start putting, let us put half an hour. We know 30 minutes, can put in the 30 minutes here. And then we can start putting, should it be 10 minutes? Whatever it is, we put in the 10 minutes. So they know what this is. But we also can do it here. From 2 o'clock, we can add 30 minutes on the bottom. Right? And we can keep adding till we get to 3 o'clock that we're going. All right. So there are many, many different ways that we can use this clock. All right. Another thing to let you know that there is a digital clock. Here it is, a digital clock. There it is in the middle. It only comes up when you are using geared, when your clock is geared. When your clock is free, it will not come up, okay? So if you put your clock on geared, there you go. Your clock is there, and you're able to change AM and PM. And you're able, hold on a second, clock. And you're able to change it, and they're able to see, okay? Sorry, they're able to see it move around, okay? All right, so for me, in searching, this to me is really a fascinating tool. I absolutely love it. I think it covers everything that you will need to cover about telling time. Here it also has 24 hours that you can use for 24 hours, which we do at grade 6. All right, so I know the next question, we're at 3:30, and I know you teachers are tired. Next question we want to talk about. One last, a few things are left. I'm almost finished. So we showed braining camp. What can we do with this? No, this is a question that I get every single time we do a presentation. Is Miss, what do we do? Our students, I'm using WhatsApp, we're not using Zoom, so I'm not able to teach the students using online face-to-face and use these products. Well, here's your answer. And I don't know how it didn't come to me before, and it's something that I do, but I never thought about using it with WhatsApp. You can actually create a video and send it by WhatsApp. So I'm going to show you. Oh, is it not connected? It's not connected. I can show you. So you can use a screen. What do you call it? When you record your screen, a screen recorder. You can go on Braining Camp. You set up your screen recording to record everything that is on your screen. It also records your voice, and once you do that, now you save that, and you now have an instructional video with this fancy manipulative that you send by WhatsApp, right? So that's really a good way to do it. So you create a video using these virtual manipulatives, and then you send that video, you download that video, and you send it to your students, all right? I use Screencast. There's Castify, there's Loom. I will put a list of those that you can use. I find Castify quite easy. They're free. The free version gives you 5 minutes worth of video, but COVID, they have given you a COVID code that you have unlimited now. So once you put in the COVID code, you can record for as long as you want. So look out for the free stuff, teachers. The COVID has brought a lot of free stuff, so look out for them. So you know, that's what we can use. All right. So what you can also do is take a screenshot of things that you want and create your own worksheet. So this is a worksheet. I mean, it's not a worksheet, but I showed you what it would look like if you clicked off pictures of the clock that you set up exactly how you want them to look on your worksheet, right? So you've sent the instructional video. Now you're clipping out and sending these worksheets by WhatsApp. So basically that's it that we wanted to cover. I don't know if there are any questions specific about telling time that we wanted to ask. We have a few minutes that we can ask some questions before I wrap up. Are there any questions? Our question is, where do we find the free stuff? Oh, free stuff is everywhere. All right. All right. Because I started, let me explain. Because I started doing these presentations for teachers, I now have a Twitter account, which I never had before, which I'm using. It's actually called Mongoose. I'm going to put it up. That I post on it some free, you know, just links where to get some free stuff, all right? I also have a Mongoose Instagram account. It has nothing. I'm not really an Instagram fan, but I promise I will post some of those up as well on Instagram, because I know more of you use Instagram than Twitter. And those are two spots that I have been posting up some information. So I will be more diligent, and if you go there, you'll get some information there. So that's basically it, where you can get free stuff. Anything that you see paid nowadays, you like those sites like IXL. I know a lot of us have seen IXL. They now have a 30-day free. A lot of them are giving out these free COVID passwords, coupons. So look for them. They're there. So try looking for them. Are there any other specific questions that anybody has before I do a wrap up? What about Facebook? I do not do Facebook. I am sorry. I just don't know. It's just not social media that I'm familiar with. I've never used it. I don't know. I really don't know. And no other questions? Everybody's all right? Mr. Leslie, did you open up the mic so that they can ask questions?
Oh, let me do that now. I'm sorry. Let me. Right. So
or do you want me to do the wrap up first? Let me do the wrap up. Wrap up is just what is it that we covered today? So just some reminders. Focus your thinking when planning. Really be deliberate about your planning, and your lessons will absolutely improve. Focus your thinking. And we went about how to do that. Breaking down objectives into smaller subtasks. This will ensure mastery. And once it ensures mastery, then it's hardly likely that your students you're going to have to be reteaching. So it's important that we break down the objectives into smaller tasks than what is given to us. All right? Vary the examples. It's really important, and you saw that. And I think many of you really are good at it, are better at it. Vary the examples, not only for instruction, but also for assessment. Consider making your own material, because when you have this new mindset on what you want and how you want to instruct your children, you're going to find that it is more difficult to find exactly what you're looking for. So make your own. And really, it's not that difficult. If you make your own, you have it all the time. So you use it this year, you can use it next year, you can use it the following year. And especially if you're at a school that teachers share material, then you can share. You make the one for triangles and I'll make the one for squares, right? So consider making your own material. And the last thing I have to say is keep calm. Summer break is almost here. We're almost done, teachers. We can make it. We're almost there. All right. So this is where I can be found. My email address is mathmongoose@gmail.com. My Twitter is mathmongoose, and Instagram is also mathmongoose. So that's where I can be found, and I will post up some links. Also, I know David was having problems posting the past sessions, the videos. The videos I've posted them up on, they're already up on YouTube. Again, Math Mongoose, go and search JTC Math Mongoose videos, and you should see all of them. And as soon as Devion sends me this current one, I will post it up as well. So that's how you can get everything. Now, as we have been saying, as we always say, if you need to get it sent directly to you, this is where you're going to go, and you will get on our email and it will be sent to you. So here is a link to access the presentation. Putting it in the chat really will not be helpful. All right. So any questions now? Open up. Let's see. Fire away. How can we use these materials after COVID? Well, for me, I know that I am not returning to the old way, the way I was before COVID. COVID has really opened my eyes to a lot of things that are now available, and the tech, it's what you can now do is endless. It has allowed me, and I'm sure you as well, to improve your tech skills, and some of these things obviously can be used in the classroom. You now can use these clock. If you have internet, hopefully you have internet at school, with a laptop and a projector, you can be projecting some of these things on the screen. What you can do in your classroom now is absolutely endless, absolutely endless.
Can I ask, Miss?
Sure. You have to talk a little louder. I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm just asking if these materials can be used offline, because we know the stability of or the instability of our internet, how it goes, that sometimes you're in the middle of the lesson and the internet goes. Can they be used offline?
Okay, so you're not, so Google Drawings, I think if you access it through 365, they probably have a offline that you can work and build it. But remember I said, what you need to do is once you have internet, then you record the videos. You do that while you have internet access.
Fine.
Record the videos, do
Fine, charge up your phone, no problem.
So that will solve that problem.
Charge.
Any other question?
Miss, I was talking mainly about the clock. Can the clock be used offline?
No. How do you mean if you can't? You can't get to it. You can't get to it. It's an online tool. You can't get to it unless you have internet.
Okay,
so it's not something that you download. You have to get it by internet. So what I'm saying is when you do have internet, access it and make a video. Right. Access it, make a video, and then you have that
can keep the
video that you can send to your students. And they can watch that video from WhatsApp. But these are not Google Drawings. You may be able to access. I'll have to check it and let you know. I think 365 does have a offline version. I'm not so sure. But definitely the other manipulatives, you need to have internet access to access it. Any other questions? I worry when there are no questions, you know. I worry that I put you all to bed.
We could, for those who are having challenges, Miss, with constant internet access, whenever you have your internet strong and going, then you can work on your worksheets and save them so that you can have them for future use when the internet might be giving you trouble.
Right. So we just have to time ourselves and you know, it is what it is. It is what it is.
A question.
Sure.
Where can I find 3D manipulatives so that you can turn the shape so the children can see it? Solid shapes.
I believe Mathagon has. But do me a favor. Let me put back my email address, mathmongoose@gmail. Shoot me an email and I will answer you. But because I know where to check, but I don't want to tell you. But I think Mathagon.
Okay, thank you.
If you send me an email, I'll answer you.
Thank you.
No, everybody gone to sleep. That's it. No other questions. David, over to you.
Right. So thank you very much. Teachers, the rain has started pouring down where I'm at. And so I'm going to try to end this as quickly as possible. But on your behalf, again, let me thank Nicole for being here, for having these sessions with us. This is the last evening for this term, certainly, that you are seeing Nicole. This is our final presentation for math for this term. Nicole, we owe you a debt of gratitude. You are worth your weight in gold, as my mother used to tell me. I am particularly impressed with the way that she has been able to share the resources with you, the online resources, even as she takes you through some of the more conceptual and theoretical stuff. Very impressed, very impressed, very impressed. So clearly the presentations will be shared with you, the video as well. I am still hoping I can do that today. I was trying to do that while Nicole was presenting, but that just did not happen. But you will get this material as soon as possible. Remember, tomorrow we meet at 2. for the session on assessment. We're looking at formative assessment and giving you some guidelines and some suggestions as to how you can assess your students at this point. Formative assessment, of course, given what the ministry has said about the promotion of students. We're looking at how you can use your online resources